those of us that have a stone soup, you guys want to get some? We're gonna go to the courthouse, and we'll walk over with them. So if you have a stone, go. I'm not loud enough. If you want to grab your loved one's stone and come across the street to the courthouse, we're going to walk together with them. And we'll set the ones up that are here on the sidewalk at the edge of the grass. And we have some chalk. And if you want to lay on the ground, we'll have somebody else on you with the chalk. And then folks can leave your loved one a message there. And we have the flowers that will be placed after Gracie. We'll put them with your mom's stone. You get to pick, darling. If you have a loved one here, let's grab them and come over to the courthouse. We're just going to walk across together, and we'll line them up here on the edge, and then we'll start.
So, Stephanie, I have a special song that I would like to sing for this.
Yes.
Because, you know, a lot of times our loved ones didn't get a chance to say goodbye, and they're worried. They're worried about us. And I have lost loved ones. I have lost family members. And today, all day today, I felt like that they were trying to reach out to me. They were trying to give me peace. They were trying to reach. So I want to sing this song for you all. And I want you to hear it as if your loved ones are singing this to you, okay? Because I believe just like we have assignments here on earth and how we go through things, we go through struggles, it makes us stronger. I believe those that have gone on, they are on assignments, they are stronger, they are doing something, they are busy, they are happy, and I think they want us to know that. So I'm going to do this song while you guys are doing that, as if our loved ones are singing to us, okay? Looking down on you from heaven, it's so peaceful, it's so free like you pray. It is warm, it's so bright, so beautiful. All of my fears and my pain are gone away. 'Cause here in heaven, oh, I miss you so. But I know we'll meet again someday. But now things go on to spread your wings and seize your day. I'm okay. Say I'm singing in the angels choir. I hope that you go on and live your life. Never give up. One day we'll be reunited. The sun shines so bright here in heaven. I'm at peace, I'm happy, and I'm free. And someday we'll walk these quiet in the angels' choir. I hope that you're going on and you're living your life. Don't ever give up. One day we will be reunited. We'll be reunited.
Everybody calls me.
Yes, I do. In the sky. I have people that are texting my cell phone saying, please put my son over there, please put my daughter over there. So I've got some more painting to do. Did you want to say something? I didn't mean to take over, it was just kind of quiet.
be the best place to buy him if I bring it to him, or get it and bring it here?
So I just want to say thank you,
I checked
everybody, for coming out
O'Reilly's.
tonight. This
They
is
won
our
300.
9th annual Night of
Yeah.
Hope. We come together every year in remembrance of International Overdose Awareness Day. There are people all over the world that are meeting together right now. We're part of something so huge, the loss of our children. There's so many families that are in pain, that are suffering alone. When we lose our children to overdose and to substance use, or our parents or our grandparents or our neighbors, there's no hot dog fundraiser at the church. They're not lining up the casseroles. We're alone. And for many of the families, they're still alone. Now they don't even have their loved one. And so we come together every year and we make these luminaries. All of the luminaries that are around me have been made in the last 8 years. We keep them respectfully and we bring them out every year. So if you want to make a luminary for your loved one, they're on the table. Help yourself to make. Doesn't matter if it's your friend, your cousin, a neighbor. You don't need permission. These are from you to them. They're filled with sand and they have a candle in them. I thought maybe I'd get Angie to light some of the candles. You think you can do that? All right, when we finish. And so usually we put them together in a heart, and we come together and we talk about our loved ones, share stories, share pain, share healing. And so this year we're doing something a little bit different. We can still do that if you want. Twist my arm. I'll hug anybody. Sorry, honey. It's true. But this year we're doing something a little different. We've been invited by Truth Pharm in Binghamton, New York, to be a national planning partner for their Trail of Truth. Alexis Cluse is a dear friend of mine, and she lost her son to an overdose in 2016. And she decided that she was going to start a not-for-profit that went after the pharmaceutical companies for not taking responsibility for the excessive prescribing and the unethical practices that we experienced in the 90s and in the early 2000s and continuing to now. And so the Trail of Truth was born, and that's what these stones are. These stones represent people from across the entire state of North Carolina. Macon County is the seat for this activity right now. So people from the beach to the mountains are submitting their loved ones, and we are lovingly and respectfully painting their memorials. There's some here tonight. I think we've got 55 stones. We lost 108,000 people last year. The year before, 77,000. That's a lot of people to die in 1 year, more than the year before. You know, 77 and 108. Somebody have a brain? Because mine's dead. It's a lot. I can tell you on the reservation and in the indigenous population across the state of North Carolina, they have the highest increase in overdose deaths. The last number I saw said 73%. Some ridiculous amount. You know, we have quite a few members of the Cherokee family here, and all of these stones we're going to carry to Washington, D.C. on September 24th. We've got a permit to be in front of the Capitol in the area that's called the Ellipse. If you're looking out from the Capitol, it makes a cross across the street, and there's a big round grassy area in the middle of the cross, and that's where we're going to be setting up As of last week, we had over 750 stones done from across the country, 24 states, and 100 planning partners already. Any organization can become part of what we're doing. Any parent, any person, anybody. You're all welcome. We can get a bus. Y'all can come with me to DC. Twist my arm. There's nobody that will be turned away. Yeah, I can tell you, we painted these stones over the past 2 weeks, and pretty much it's all we've been doing. Is getting requests from family members, and it has to be a family member. You wouldn't want to come here tonight and see your loved one's stone and not know that they were part of this. So, close family member. If the person doesn't have any family left, just talk to me and we'll figure out how to do it. We're not going to leave somebody out because they don't have anybody to remember them. But yeah, that's the purpose of what we're doing tonight. We're raising awareness about this issue, about this ginormous increase. When we started this event in 9 years ago, I went back and looked at our first flyer, and we had lost 33,000 people across the country. 9 years, we've gone from 33,000 to over 108,000 people. I don't know who's still worried about COVID. I don't see any masks anymore. So where's the outrage about this epidemic that is killing our loved ones? Where's the outrage? Where's Macon County's leadership? There's not one commissioner here. Anybody from the schools besides Mary, who's been with us forever? Nobody from the schools? Where is everybody? Where's the outrage? We're just going to keep burying them. And there's nomads. We call them nomads. N-O-M-A-D. Not one more anonymous death. Oh, we lost another kid. I got another nomad. Because there isn't anybody that's going to talk about it. Shame and stigma are killing our families. I am not ashamed that my brother had a dependence with alcohol. I was ashamed of some of the things he did. He got a couple of... He had a hard time, hard life. But he's loved. There won't be a day in my life that I don't think about him. He's not here anymore. My fence needs to be fixed. Where is he? You're not supposed to lose your brother in his 30s. We're supposed to be losing our siblings, our kids. I did a stone for a 16-year-old. And I thought to myself, sweet Jesus, how could we be letting this happen? We need to take the money from one end and put it on the other end. Macon County has not done a youth risk behavior survey since 2014. That's almost a decade ago, which means we have no data relating to the risky behaviors in our kids in school. So even if I decide today, hey, I'm going to create this prevention program, I can do that. I'm a prevention consultant with the state, right? I can do that. I have no idea what these kids are doing. I have no idea. What's the vaping numbers look like? What do the youth trauma numbers look like? I know, I can tell you, I see them. Horrific traumas that they're experiencing. So we could complain all day long. I could make you cry all day long because that's what we do. But what I'm hoping happens today is that the shame of talking about our loved ones stops now. We cannot let shame kill our kids. It's okay to have problems. I've cried all day today. My shirt is full of snots. Don't care. I'm serious, guys. using substances doesn't make you Satan. You may do some things that look like Satan. Somebody said one time my brother needed an exorcism. I called my brother-in-law. He said, you're probably right. You know? But we've got to talk about these folks. I see Bruce Two Eagles here in front of me, Mary. Your friend is with us. Missy, Michael, Spencer, Seth, Adam Conley. There's so many people that are loved by all of these folks. How do we get them involved in something that's going to make change? That's what I want to know. What can we do differently as a community organization, Smoky Mountain Harm Reduction and Full Circle Recovery Center? What can we do differently to reach more people? To bring families together to heal, to have a place to be loved, to remember these folks, and to prevent these kids from experiencing the pain that we have. My grief is all the love that I have that I can no longer give. How do we stop that and let our love be shared with our loved ones? We got to get folks healthy. So, I brought some Narcan. It's on the table. I thought that we'd teach you guys how to use it, and that if you want to take home a kit, you are welcome to it. This particular Narcan has been donated by the state of North Carolina, Department of Health and Human Services. So we're very grateful for their support. Each one of those boxes is $175 cost. So it's quite a bit of money. I brought 48 kits, and I probably bought 50 intramuscular if folks need them. We have a lot of Narcan at the office. It's not helping anybody in my cabinet. Got to get it out to you guys. So if you know somebody who's using any kind of substance, even alcohol, you might want to take a kit home for them. You can take one for yourself and for your loved one. Yeah, I don't know. Anybody have any questions? Anything you want to know? Been doing this for over 20 years. Moved to Macon County 15 years ago, before we had an opioid epidemic here. So I can get something you want to ask, or just come and see me afterwards. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you to Bobby Coggins for coming today and recording for us. He's a little angel on earth, always helps us. And of course, Warren and his loveliest angel of a wife, Miss Rhonda, for her voice. You know, they have Sonny's that's down on Sloan Road. It's the only place in Macon County that you can be at where there's music and no alcohol, right? It's a safe place for people to come. Thursday nights they have praise night. Rhonda truly sounds like an angel that already. But yeah, I guess that's it, unless you want me to teach you how to use the Narcan. Say it again, Mary. How to refuse. Yes, dear. Oh, you know what else we have? We have Miss Gracie that wants to say a few words too. Come on, Miss Barbara. Let's see if we can find Gracie. Where's she hiding? No. Well, yeah, I can't tell you. So, Miss Barbara would like to say a few words. You want to let her use your microphone? And then you and I can...
Testing.
Yes.
She's
Come
an
over here with me.
expert.
Come on.
Do I have to
Oh, it's ready to go.
Ready to go? I've lost two sons when my youngest son had me died. He was 20 years old. Losing him put me into a path escape reality with pain. So myself became an addict. I had to get clean. I had to get out of my comfort zone. I moved away from Franklin. Coming home to see the boys, I thought everything was okay. And I would tell my son, Chris, my oldest one, Chris, I cannot bury another son. You got to stop. He told me, he said, Mom, he says, I found a place for rehabilitation, and I want to become a substance abuse counselor because how can I help somebody if they don't know what it's like to be in that position? So, with me knowing that was his goal, when he died, he's got a son 11 years old when he died, and his son's 16 years old now. He had to work, so he couldn't be here. And I asked him, I said, Aiden, I said, is there anything that you would like for me to say on behalf of you for your father? He says, yes. Tell everybody that even through his addiction, that he never left the Lord. He prayed. And after reading my son's Bible and some of the verses and some of the stories that people had come and told me, why I'm here and not over there, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I haven't figured it out yet, other than Stephanie.
I love you.
And we've got to start teaching children young, I'm talking about young, about the education of drug abuse. Because it is out there. It affects everybody. I'm a survivor. Praise God. Thriver. Yeah. I'm a thriver. But I just want everybody to know that an addict is not a bad person. An addict has a name. An addict can be a father, an uncle, a son, a brother. You don't know. They could be in the closet and you could be walking side by side with them. You may not even know what their problem is. Be kind to one another. Be able to talk openly to someone that you can before it gets to the level of, instead of it being chasing a high, you have to use just to maintain, and then next comes death. And we've got to stop that. And that's all.
She said she's clean. She showered today. Please allow me to introduce you to Miss Gracie.
Hi.
It's all right. You stay right there. He'll adjust you. You want me to stay with you? I'll stay here. You gotta put it right up to your mouth.
My name is Gracie Parker. I'm 9 years old and I live with my grandparents, Oma and Opa, who are raising me. I have a pretty good life. They love me very much and I love them. I go to a good school. I have friends, many people who love me. We do lots of things together. I love school. I love to read. To everyone, I look like a happy, average, young girl. But on the inside part of me is far from that. Why can't I get the love I should be getting? Why? Why? So many unanswered questions. I have parents, but I don't live with them. I never knew my mom. She died from drugs when I was 6 months old. My dad is addicted to drugs and has been in and out of jail and rehab more times than I can count. My grandparents have always tried for my daddy to be a part of my life when he wasn't doing drugs, but those times never lasted long. One day he was in my life, the next day he would disappear for weeks, months, a year at the time. It's been an emotional roller coaster for me. I have so many unanswered questions. Why? Why didn't my mom love me enough to stop doing drugs? I love my mom and I miss my mom so much. Why has my dad not stopped and done everything to be a part of my life, an important part? He's never been there for me. Why did my parents choose drugs over me? Why couldn't I have a normal life with my parents instead of by my grandparents? Don't get me wrong, I love my Oma and Opa. I'm glad that they were and are there for me and providing a loving home for me. But I feel cheated. I never know what the love of my mom is like, or the love of my dad, or what it's like to spend time with my Oma and Opa, just to have fun. I deserve to have that kind of love in life, but because of drugs, I will never have that. I don't want to be mad at my parents, but I am. Why wasn't I more important? Why did you choose drugs over me? Didn't and don't you love me? I know that things are not that simple, but to me and other children like me, we have these questions and so many more. My daddy is living with a woman right now who has also been in trouble with drugs. She has 2 boys who are older than me. My daddy takes them fishing, buys them school clothes, and anything else they want and need. He's not and never has been there for me like that. He promised to buy me roller skates I wanted, but he never did. So I bought them myself. I have stopped talking to my dad. I even chose not to see him for a long time, but that doesn't change anything. There are many kids like me who are being raised by their grandparents or even great-grandparents because drugs and drug addiction. Others are not as lucky as I have been to have grandparents to take care of me. Some end up in DSS and foster care or worse. We are hurting. So many are hurting silently. No child should have to lose their parents to drugs. Most children who have experienced these things, all they have left is hope. Hope that we can get rid of illegal drugs. Hope that doctors prescribe opioids, which can lead to drug addiction as well, continue to closely monitor them, and that more alternative solutions are developed and approved and accessible to people who need it. Hope that maybe their parents can get the help they need to get healthy and stay healthy and love their kids. Hope that we can honor those who lost their lives to drugs by doing more about it. For some, like for me, that will never be. My mom is gone. I still have hope that one day my daddy will get the help he needs and sticks with it finally. Hope that others will choose a different path.
Of course. Hope that others will choose a different path. Oh, she has an addition.
I am a victim, but I want to be a victim who stands down, who doesn't stand down, as children can stop the cycle.
From a Macon County 9-year-old who wrote it on her own. Gracie came to Night of Hope for the first time 3 years ago when she was 6. And I remember her standing beside me and we were around the luminaries. And she pulled on me and she said, "Can I speak?" I said, "You can say anything you want to with me anytime to anybody." And so she's special. She's a special kid. We have lots of them. So, Gracie, what do you want to tell people about Narcan? Let me give this to Rhonda before I lose it. Oh yeah, you know it. set did not get out of my hands. So what do you think we should tell people about Narcan? What does it do?
Narcan is there for the people who need it in times of emergency, for the people who are overdosed and passed out on the floor because of drugs.
Yep. And so let's make believe we're in McDonald's, right? We just had a Happy Meal, you got your toy, and we go into the bathroom and somebody's laying on the floor. So what should we do?
First, you call 911 to keep them stabilized. You use the Narcan. It goes up in their nose, and that will keep them stabilized.
It'll keep them breathing, right? So it really is as simple as using Afrin nasal spray. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see if they're okay, right? So, hey, ma'am, are you all right? If they don't answer, I'm going to look around and see if there's somebody else in the bathroom. And I'm going to say, can you go get the manager and have him call 911, please? We're going to give somebody an order. Sarah, it's you. Call 911. Can you go outside and wait for the ambulance, right? So that we have somebody responding so we can work with the person. So, no answer from the person. Then what do? Before we use the Narcan, we want to cause them pain without causing harm, right? So,
Check if they're still breathing.
how do we do it? Remember, look, listen, and feel. So I'm going to put my head right next to their nose and mouth and see if there's any breath on my face. See if I hear any sounds of breathing. And I'm going to look down their chest at the same time and see if there's any movement in the chest, right? Look, listen, and feel the signs of breathing. If they're not breathing, we really got to get 911, right? CPR is wonderful if you're trained in it, but if you're not, we got to get somebody who is, right? Now, the only time we would use chest compressions with somebody is if they had their heart stopped. Maybe they had been there for a little bit before we found them, right? But we're going to assume this person is still having a heartbeat, but needs us to intervene so that they don't stop breathing. So, we're going to make our knuckles really hard, like a noogie, right, on the head, but we're going to do it on the sternum bone, the flat area between the rib cage, right here, right? Just press on that. Does it feel good? Nah, it hurts. So we want to rub, like we're going to rub the skin off. So don't be afraid of hurting them, right? We don't think that they're going to survive. We're trying to make sure that they're still with us. So rub it hard. Now, if it's a female, you may not want to touch them in the breast area, right? Please don't touch me in my area that's private. You want that too, right? You want consent. Can't give consent because they're unconscious. So if you don't want to touch them in the female breast area, you can use the skin that's between the fingers and press really hard. Here, let me press you. Does that feel good? I'm going to do it really hard though, right? And I'm also going to try the back of your fingernail at the base where that little white half moon is. And I'm probably going to use the key that's in my pocket to press there really hard. If they don't answer to one of those three, anyone, you don't have to do all three, then we're going to give them Narcan. Now, Narcan is a medication that tells your brain that it's okay to breathe. It takes the opiate off the receptor and it covers it so whatever's floating around in the brain can not affect the receptors that cause respiratory depression. So with that said, there's a decline in breathing. The person probably needs some oxygen, right? Where are we going to get oxygen in the McDonald's bathroom? Don't stock it there, do they? No. So we got to give them what? Not CPR, but rescue breathing, right? Yes. So we have little keychains that have little breathing masks, especially with COVID, right? We want to keep our mouths and our spit to ourselves. So we put the mask on and tilt the head back, and I want to look in their mouth. If they have just used a syringe, for example, that syringe cap may be in the mouth still. pull it off in the mouth, right? It may still be in there. So you want to look inside the mouth to make sure there's no gum, no candy, something that's not supposed to be there, right? And if it is, what are you going to do with it?
Take it out.
So we're going to take it out with our finger. Then we're going to tilt the head back a little bit further. We're going to block the nose. We're going to put our mouth on theirs, and we're going to give them a short breath. We don't blow up like balloons when we breathe. We don't have to blow up somebody to give them some oxygen. It's just enough air for the chest to move. And what happens if the stomach moves? If we fill the stomach full of air, what's going to happen?
Organ.
Your stomach is a big place that holds the food and the water, right? So if we fill it with air, then when they wake up, it's going to come back out. And so they're probably going to aspirate, or that food and water will go into the lungs. So if you give them some rescue breaths, oh, Angie lit a fire. This is our first fire in 9 years. Angie, whose bag was it? Guess what, Angie? As long as you survive, we're okay. Oh, good. We know whose it was. We'll make another one. So, rescue breathing. Really simple. Block the nose, a short breath, check where the air is going. If the chest moves, you're good. If the stomach moves, tilt the head back a little bit further. This can be used even if you don't have any Narcan, because they need oxygen. Even the oxygen that's in your exhalation, after you've already used it, is enough to help keep them with oxygen in their blood. So, you want to open up the kit and get one of the nasal dispensers. It's really easy to open, just on the top of the bottom. You want to open one up. It's real simple. It has a foil pack on the back and instructions inside. So these are the instructions. It's in a little packet. Can't really mess this up. There's also instructions on the inside of the box here. So you've got instructions here and here. So if the kit is separated, if the doses are separated, you still have directions. Now, that's a live dose that you have there, young lady. So how do you hold it? And what do we do with it? Yeah. So, well, let's wait. Let's do that last and show them how it works.
This is how you hold it.
Okay? So you hold it with your finger on the dispenser and on the edges. When I hold it on the outside because there's such a small amount of liquid in there that we don't want to lose it, right? So hold it here, and then what do we do with this?
So,
Where does it go?
it goes in the nose.
Goes all the way up the nose until your fingers touch the nostril, all the way up. Okay? So don't be afraid of hurting somebody, because it's not going to hurt them. Okay? Then what do? It's up the nose.
You push it as hard as you can so it goes all the way up.
Yeah. So it aspirates out, right? So you want to show them how it works? Yeah, push it up, though. Woo-hoo! That is the life-saving medication. You just did it. Was it hard? So, I want to tell you that this has literally that much liquid in it. There's nothing here. It's so tiny that if you leave this in your car with the heat right now, it will evaporate. You'll open the kit, there'll be nothing in it. There'll be, you won't know, you can't see inside this, right? So don't keep it in your car. I try and keep mine in my purse. Prefers a cool temp. It's okay in the fall and the spring, but the winter, it'll freeze quick too because it's just a little bit of liquid. So if you're using the intranasal version, it's best to keep it with you if you are going to be somebody who may use it. So I have it in my kitchen cabinet. I have it in my desk drawer. I have it it is everywhere. if I need it and it's not there, I'm never gonna forgive myself. So, it is everywhere. I have access to it at all times. So that's how this works. I'll pass this around so you guys can check it out. You wanna run it over to the first person? One of the important things with Narcan is that it can only stay on board in the system about 30 to 90 minutes. So while that person has Narcan or naloxone in their system, they're going to be really sick. It puts them into what we call precipitated withdrawal. Anybody have a baby with Pitocin and have hard labor immediately? It's sort of like that, miserable. And so we want to be really careful and stay with the person if they won't call 911, because they can continue to overdose even though this medication has allowed them to breathe. So we don't let anybody stay by themselves for up to 90 minutes. You want to make sure that they're safe. We always encourage calling 911 for an ambulance. Even if I was using with my friend, maybe I kept some Valium in my pocket or something that I didn't want to share with the person. So even if we're using together, we may not know what the other person is actually using. The other problem is that we don't even know what we're using, right? I bought this pill from Fred. It looks like a Valium, same color, same markings, but unfortunately Mary made it in her garage with the pill press. So it looks like that medication. The color's the same, the markings are the same, but what the pill contains is not the same. So it's a big challenge. We have a drug checking program at our agency. We're part of a statewide drug checking program through UNC Chapel Hill. We're trying to identify what's in the drug supply right now. So that'll be some news that'll be coming out of our agency as we move forward with this project. We've got 3 samples that have been sent off so far, so we should have more information next week. But it's from the coast to the mountains, and I believe there's 12 different locations that are participating in this program. So that's something new. I don't know, what else is there? Oh, sometimes you gotta do multiple doses in Narcan too, right? So we use it, and then we give rescue breathing for 2 minutes while we wait for this medication to work. And there's no response from the person. We've already called 911, right? We've already established that. So we can give them another dose. If you're using intranasal, you want to switch nostrils. So if we use it on the right, now we're going to use it on the left. The nasal Narcan is absorbed through the mucous membrane in the nose. So it's a little bit of a barrier. Intramuscular is faster, but some people are afraid of using a needle, which is understandable. But yeah, intramuscular or intranasal, it still takes the same amount of time, about 2 minutes for it to work. If it doesn't, another dose, and then the rescue breathing, 1 breath for every 5 seconds. It's pretty simple. I don't know about you, if you ever looked into somebody's face that may not be with us much longer if we don't do something quick. You're literally talking 3 to 5 minutes of being able to respond to somebody before we have problems, right? Loss of organs and body parts and brain cells and life. So we got to do something. We all have that responsibility, don't you think? Learn how to use Narcan. Anything else you want to share about the Narcan? Don't worry about it. Yeah. What you got, Mary?
So, say that I have just given Narcan to one of the students that I have found after the football game, anonymous. If they are revived and say, okay, I'm better now and want to go home, how much time do I have before the Narcan wears off? Yeah.
That's 30 to 90 minutes is the window. So I would just say to that person, if you don't want to go to the hospital, you have that right? We can refuse the ambulance or whatever it looks like. But let me make sure somebody stays with you during this time, right? Mary's going to say, let's sit on the bleachers for a little bit. We're going to keep you safe. Or let's go have a cup of coffee. Can you? Sure. How about if you show them how little the liquid is in there? Can you pull this out? She's going to try. Any other questions? How long we have between? Anybody ever used Narcan before? How'd it go? Was it easy to do? Did you panic? What was it like? Was it easy for you to use? And it responded quickly? We've got a positive outcome because she hasn't signed a stone yet, so there's a lot of hope. Oh, she can't get it out. Well, yeah, it's okay. It doesn't like to be in the sun, so you don't want to like leave it on the windshield of the car. I don't know. What else can I say, Beth? Oh yeah, what's up, Oma? Fentanyl, yeah. So a lot of people ask questions about fentanyl. Let me explain to you why fentanyl is such a problem, besides that there's so much of it right now. Fentanyl is a very strong drug, made in China, shipped to Mexico, and it's brought up through the cartels, right? We're aware how it gets here. I think the problem with fentanyl is the potency. When we, in the medical field, looks at the potency of opiates, we compare it to morphine. Every opiate that goes into the body is metabolized into morphine. So morphine's a 1, potency a 1, heroin's a 5, oxycodone's a 7, and fentanyl is 100. Our fentanyl is 100 times stronger than fentanyl, right? We had a carfentanil overdose death in Cherokee. It's not very common. It's an animal tranquilizer. We don't typically see it. But I mean, if you're thinking of size to take a human life for somebody opiate naive, it's like 1 grain of salt, literally. So you can see why the cartel is shipping fentanyl here. If I can ship a thimble versus an excursion, I'm going to ship the thimble, right? So what we're finding in the information that's coming back statewide is that almost all street drugs have fentanyl in it now. This is a big issue, right? You're buying a Valium and you're getting fentanyl. You're opiate naive, you know, this is going to cause you some problems. So fentanyl is a big challenge. I think the bigger challenge is that we have a new drug every 10 years. It's not like a magical thing, right? So we have fentanyl now, and next month it'll be something else. And the fentanyl analogs continue to change so that they can get them here without being illegal, right? And I don't know what the next new drug is. One of the problem drugs that I've been seeing across the country from folks that I work with is xylazine. Anybody ever heard of xylazine before? So it's a medication for horses again. And so let's say I was injecting in my left arm and I get an abscess on my right leg. So it creates these problems in the body. An abscess is when you have an infection underneath the skin. So let's say you're fishing with Opa and you get, a little prick by a hook, you get hooked. And Opa does a good job of cleaning it, and it's microscopic bacteria, so it's under the skin. And you get an infection there. That's an abscess underneath the skin. And so people who use drugs sometimes use syringes, and it can cause problems with the skin. But you would think that the problem would be in the same place where they're using it, right? But with this particular drug, the problems happen anywhere in the body. And they're really infectious, and they cause really big problems. So I'm expecting fentanyl in most of the drugs that we've tested, including methamphetamine, right? They're not even in the same drug family. One's a stimulant, one's a depressant. This isn't the 70s when kids are speedballing heroin and coke, right? This is what we think of traditionally when we have people using those two together. So folks are using methamphetamine and saying to me, I don't need a Narcan kit. I don't use that stuff. Well, you do need that stuff. You do need Narcan. Your friend may be using opiates, and you need to help them. I can't reverse an overdose with myself. I can't respond to myself if I'm unconscious. So I encourage even the folks who are using methamphetamine or stimulants to also be carrying Narcan. If you're not going to have it for yourself, at least to have it to help somebody else. So yeah, those are the biggest issues that I've been hearing about from our folks, at least. Fentanyl, good old Fenty. Yeah. Sure. You want to come up and say a few words?
I can. We can.
We can. We can together. Well, you're going to throw it in the trash. Can't hurt anybody. The only way Narcan has a reaction is when you have opiates in your system.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tyler. So I've got a pretty ridiculous past with, in this town anyways, of, a lot of drug use and stuff. And I should say, first and foremost, I am 16 months clean now. Have not used anything. I give 100% of the credit to God. I came a long way. God really delivered me from a lot of stuff. But I can say that I have been in several situations, as well as Connor here, where we've had several friends that probably wouldn't be walking this earth today if it weren't for the Narcans. I've been brought back with Narcan 3 times. I shouldn't be walking this earth right now, but I guess God had a bigger plan for me. So, but yeah, it's incredible what is going around now. Because like she said, with this fentanyl, this whole epidemic that's happening with this stuff, like she said, I was a meth user. I was the upper guy. I wasn't the downer guy, and just, I was an intravenous user. And every now and again, I would be like, I want to mix just a little bit with my upper, because it was a different feeling. So, all 3 times that I wound up not breathing and turning blue and all that, was all on the stimulant. And because I put just that tiny amount in, it took me out. So it was, it's definitely something extremely touchy. If you know anybody that's dealing with really any kind of drug addiction problem, you should definitely, be very encouraging to this person. I can, with Narcan, it's a matter of, yes, it has saved my life, but having a support system, having people let you know that they love you, that they care about you, that regardless of what you're facing, of what you're going through, if you're sneaking off in the bathroom and getting high, you still want to be able to walk out of the bathroom, and that person might be sad, they might be disappointed for what you're doing, but they're still just welcoming you. They're still, and it's not that you need to embrace their habits, but to just reassure someone that they've got someone in their life that cares for them is huge. I dealt with things with my own family when I was on drugs, and I was one of the guys out here on a bicycle and with a backpack running up and down these streets with nowhere to go. When I got to that point, my family kind of they were off doing their own thing. My brother was a business owner here, a pretty successful business owner here, and so having that name in this town, it made it tough on my family, because now they're like, oh, this is your brother, and and they're looking at him like, that's your brother? Seeing me in the arrest record, seeing my name come up 20 some odd times that I've been in the county jail here. I just got out of prison back in May, which wasn't drug charges, but if it hadn't have been for the drug addiction, it would have never happened. But me and Connor both got a lot of friends that we have lost to addiction. It was crazy even while I was in prison, and then I get out and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go catch up with so and so, and they're like, dude, he's dead, and I'm just like, what? Like this is somebody that I used to love to hang out with, that even through addiction, you would never be able to tell that this person was even as bad off as they were, because when they come out and socialize with you and stuff, it's totally cool. And I mean, yeah, I got high with these guys and stuff, but you don't realize how bad the addiction really is with them until they're not here. And when they're not here anymore, then it hits you hard, because these are people that, you know, you might have got along with great, or you might have foreseen, you know, me and this guy could work together, we could start a business together, or, you know, this guy's a genius, I just love his company. I mean, people that I would let hang out with my kids. You know, I've got 2 little girls. I've got a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old, and a lot of my friends that aren't on this earth anymore, it happened, you know, that these people were ones that would be at my house, you know, when my kids were infants. And, you know, I've got pictures of these friends rolling around playing on the floor with my kids, and then the next thing you know, we're reading obituaries about them. So it's definitely, it's a powerful thing, addiction is. I know that I now serve a God who is bigger than anything in this earth, bigger than any problem I could ever have. And when I was able to hand my problems over to him, then that's when things started happening, when I finally made that decision. But it really took being around people that were so supportive, people that related to me, you know, people that regardless of what I was doing, they would just assure me, like, Tyler, you're a good dude. Like, you know, can I put you to work? You know, and and I'm not saying go find somebody on the street corner and try putting them to work, because not everybody's like that. But I had people, I can, even one specific that I can give is I've got a very close friend of mine. I work with Warren Rondo over at Sonny's, and I help with setting up these PAs and stuff, and I was working tonight, and I'll be doing teardown tonight. But there's a man that is essentially partnered with Sonny's that this guy, before I got locked up, this guy was always calling me. He actually found me out on the Greenway one day while I was sitting out there playing my guitar, and he kind of like sits at a picnic table on the opposite corner of the pavilion as me, and then he's slowly working his way up a little bit, and finally he just walked straight over to me, and he was like, "Listen, pal," he was like, "can I just sit and listen to you play music?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And so we sat there, and then he was like, "Listen, we're getting ready to start these open mic nights." And he said, "I don't care if you're homeless." He said, "I don't care if you're high." He said, "Will you just come play some music with us?" And that was what really hit home for me, was the fact that this guy looked at me in my current standings, knowing that I was homeless, out on the street, and high, and he was like, "Please, come play some music with us." And I got out there, and I started playing with these guys, and then they're like, you know, we used to do them at the Greenway. I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago where we had open mics that we'd set up down here at the Greenway and over on the Depot Street Greenway. And they'd get me out there, and all of a sudden they're just like throwing a guitar at me and pushing me out in front of everybody. But I've got a whole band behind me now, and we're all just having a blast, you know. And that, when Frank invited me to those things, you know, it was awesome to see that there are people that truly care in this world. You know, Frank is, you know, this is not somebody that's out there doing anything crazy. I mean, the guy's a business guy driving a Mercedes, and, you know, he's awesome dude. One of the best people I know, really. You know, the guy bought me a phone and put 6 months of time on this phone for me, just so that I could be gotten in touch with to go play these open mics and stuff. But me, in the addiction I was in, I was on probation at the time, and being out on the street and stuff, I squandered away that friendship, really. But the guy has been nothing but supportive for me. And as soon as I got out of prison, I happened to run into him somewhere that I was just like, I'm walking through the flea market and I see these 2 guitars. I had been trying to track him down the whole time I was locked up, and I'm like, this looks like a good booth to be in right here. And the guy was like, "Oh, that's my buddy Frank's guitars." And I'm like, okay, all right. Like, and so I go over and I get back up with Frank, and the first thing he tells me is, he's like, "Buddy, you got to come back to Sonny's." He was like, I don't care what you're doing. He's like, "You got to come back up to Sonny's." And so now, you know, as soon as he brought me back in, and then it got me back in touch with Warren and Rhonda, who are just like, these guys are family to me. These are 2 of the best people you could ever meet in your life. And the fact that they have let me help with what they have going on here, with what we're doing at Sonny's, the fact that they've let me help to start to establish my own ministry that I've got a calling to start. It's just, there's not enough gratitude for you guys. There's really not. Because these guys, knew where I was, they knew what I've been through, and the first thing they did when they saw me was stick their arms out and hug me. So I'm incredibly thankful for them. But you know, it's really, the drug epidemic around here is immense. It's huge. So much deeper than anybody could really ever realize. You know, I can't go anywhere in this town without seeing people that I used to run around with. What's cool now is that I have the testimony I have that I'm able to share with these people, to able to let them know, you know, you don't have to be like that. I'm never going to judge them. I'm never going to turn them away. I might even throw them $20 if I've got it in my pocket, because I know what it's like to not have food, and I know what it's like to just want a drink that's not water out of a water fountain, and I ain't got $2 in my pocket to do it. So now I'm working full time. I work with these guys at Sonny's. You know, I'm involved in a few ministries, but it's really awesome where we can come when you have the right support system behind you. So to have people around that say, I don't care what you're dealing with, I know you're a good person in here. Can I help you? You know, how can I help you? And whether it's throwing them $5 for a cheeseburger or even getting somebody a pack of cigarettes. You never know what this person has gone and stolen or pawned or whatever they've done just to have enough money to go get a pack of cigarettes. You know, and it's just being supportive of people throughout their problems is the best thing you can ever do, as opposed to turning away from someone. Because turning away from someone just reinforces the fact that they want to go get high. So yeah, that's kind of my testimony, and yes ma'am, that's where I've been, what I've dealt with. So, you know, okay.
Thanks, Tyler. Can I have a hug? I love this kid. And I gotta tell you that you're amazing. Really proud of you. And you said something that really got me thinking, and it's the word tough love.
Yeah.
And so that's what we encourage. Your kids going crazy, kick them out. What happens when we kick out kids? Go get high. Right. And so the opposite of addiction is connection.
Yeah.
And you've just proven that to me. Thanks, baby. And Connor.
Hello. My name's Connor Sim. I've been sober for 13 months now. And after that big speech, I really didn't have much to follow besides, for me, I tried over and over to beat this addiction. And the one thing that helped me the most was having somebody there that you know you don't want to disappoint, somebody that you don't want to let down. You get out, you get sober, and then most people, they get out of rehab or wherever they're going, and they have nothing to lose. They say, well, I could go get high because, you know, I don't really have much to lose. And for me, that's what happened over and over again. And this time I got out of prison, my mom was so supportive. She did everything. My mom was so supportive this time, and she helped me in ways that she had never helped me before when I was going through addiction. And I really believe that's what did it. That's what does it today when I think about going out when I have a horrible day, and I think about going out and messing up or doing something bad. I think about the people that I don't want to let down, the people that have helped me. Warren and Rhonda have helped me more than anyone else also, and that's what really gets me through it most of the time. God, of course, God is behind it all, but you have to build. So what I'm trying to say is, if you have family members that are going through addiction, whatever you do, don't give up on them. Don't kick them out. Don't, you know, that's I guess the best advice I could get. And I was gonna say something else about the Narcan too. Oh yeah, when you use Narcan, especially the nasal spray Narcan, which I think is not as good as the injectable kind, it can take up to like 5 minutes or sometimes longer than that for the person to come back. And most people at that point, they panic. And that's when people get kicked out of cars or thrown on the side of the road or whatever the situation may be. Even if the person doesn't want you to call 911, just do it anyways. You know what I mean? No.
There's no liability.
They can't, yeah, it's completely okay, I think, because I've had a lot of friends die. A lot of friends die from this drug. I've overdosed more times than I know. And it's by the grace of God that I'm still here, and Narcan has saved my life every single time. So thank you guys for coming out. And like I said, whatever you're going through, and I know it's hard sometimes when your kid is using, or your brother or sister, or whatever the situation is using. You don't want to deal with it. Sometimes you just don't want to be around them because it makes you sad. But the most important thing is when they're at a point in their life where they're using every day to hide from everything else that's going on, they have nobody else. And that's when they start to think, well, why am I even here anymore? You know? And so not giving up on them is the best thing. Okay, I'm done.
Aw, you boys are awesome. I'm super proud of both of you. I know it's been a struggle. I've been watching you come up. So. I didn't say that.
But I can say that she knew us both. She was very familiar with both of us before we ever, went and made our turnarounds. But yeah, so we're incredibly thankful for you and what you do as well. So yeah, thank you very much for everything you do. Having some place where people can go to get the things that they need that are in that situation is one of the biggest blessings that you could ever create for a town like this, for a town facing what it's going through. Because a lot of people look down on things like that. And, it's a needle exchange and it's this and that. And you know what? If they aren't going down there to see her, then they're hurting themselves. Without going into great detail, they're hurting themselves permanently. They're doing damage that cannot be undone without having someplace like what Stephanie hosts for us. So, as former addicts ourselves, I think I can speak for Connor and say we are also incredibly grateful for what you do for this town as well.
So harm reduction is one of those words that everybody thinks immediately syringe services. And yes, we do provide syringe services. But what we provide is a place for people, all people, whether they use substances or not, to be connected to people that care about them. We have a big food pantry. We have lots of clothing, winter survival supplies. We have medical supplies. I have some folks who are living with diabetes, like myself, that can't afford their syringes and alcohol pads. And we even have insulin sometimes when folks that have a prescription change or whatever it might look like. If we can share that, we will. We're not just a syringe service program. Many of the people that I work with don't use substances at all. Actually, many of them are family members, just like you guys. So we are restarting, with that note, we're restarting our family support group beginning of October. And so it's a virtual platform where anybody from anywhere can participate. It's using a model that's pretty unique. It's 15 minutes of education at the beginning of each group. So you'll be learning about addiction, you'll be learning about healthy boundaries, which is what these gentlemen were talking about, right? How do we keep our loved ones at home without having more harm done to us in our homes? Gotta have some healthy boundaries, gotta know how to work with people and keeping them healthy when they're not so healthy. And then there's an hour support group, and it's wide open, anybody can talk about anything. And then there's 15 minutes of self-care. We do a great job at telling everybody that they need self-care. You need self-care. What does that mean? So you'll have about 24 modules of education and self-care that you'll be able to come away from that meeting and practice to keep yourself healthy as you're staying connected to your loved one who's struggling with whatever's going on. So that it's happening. You can check our Facebook page. That'll be beginning when we come back from DC. So next dates for us before we end. Tomorrow night we're in Cherokee with this event. Yeah, it's going to be pretty powerful. And then September 24th, we're in DC. Again, anybody can come. That is an open door invitation to anybody in Macon County, in North Carolina, or across the country. Everybody is welcome. I would like to see 108,000 people to represent all of the folks we lost last year. That would be beautiful to me. Come on. And then the family support group will start at the beginning of October. And that's it for me, guys. I'd like to hear Rhonda sing something beautiful. Maybe, I don't know. What do you got for us, Rhonda? I think you can do. Yeah, that's good. Let's see that one again. Yeah. What you got, Warren? Yes, we'd love to have a prayer. I'm Catholic, so y'all don't say my prayer. I'm the one that doesn't have my public prayer because we don't say the same ones. So I'll let one of you guys. You say mine and yours. I'll say any prayer. I don't care.
How you doing, Angie? Angie is probably my longest volunteer. You've been with me since I came here, pretty much. Almost 12 years, I think. Is it misbehaving?
It's on this side.
It's lit. So, you gotta hold that up. I'm gonna help you here.
Here we go.
It is Angie.
Start another fire.
She already lit one bag on fire.
I know the picture on it.
Oh, we're teasing you.
I know. We come back. Your daughter and your son.
My husband?
Thanks, Angie. That's my mama. Yeah, that's my mama.
Hey, listen, somebody wrote a book one time with politics in Boston and said that his mother, they were referring to me. But I'd love to hear Rhonda sing and then we'll say a prayer and close. There's so many people suffering.
Instead of saying a prayer, we're going to sing the prayer. I pray you'll be our eyes and watch us where we go and help us to be wise in times when we don't know. Let this be our prayer when we lose our way. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, to a place where we'll be saved.
Love to die.
Pray we'll find your love
Nel cuore resterà
and hold it in our
a
hearts.
ricordare
Quanta felice.
When shadows fill our days.
Lead us to a place.
Guide us with your grace.
Give us faith so we'll be saved. Sogniamo un mondo senza più violenza, un mondo di giustizia, di speranza, ognuno diamo mano sua vicino, simbolo di pace, di fraternità. La forza che ci dà
We ask that life become
desiderio che
and watch us from above.
ognuno trovi
We will
l'amore
be somewhere far.
intorno e dentro sé.
Under the soul to love, let this be our prayer. Let this be our prayer.
Just like every child,
Just like
every child needs to find a place. Guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be saved. And la fede che hai acceso in noi. Sento che ci
Amen.
You guys are awesome. Wow. So I guess, ooh. So I mean, obviously her voice and his voice are incredible. But what I hope you hear is that all of these people that are here tonight care about you and care about your families. And so if you see one of us, please, I take hugs, I need hugs. We all need the human connection with each other. It's the only way that our families are gonna survive this. So, you wanna say something in closing, Gracie, my little baby girl? No. Well, that's enough for me. We'll see you guys in BC. I hope you'll come. Thank you. Oh, and if you want us to make a stone for your loved one, it's trailoftruth.org/submit. And I also have the forms up here. But it has to be a family member. That's the only barrier. So, we'll see you guys next year.